Hey everyone, this is more of a fun build today. I've just been reading a lot about Templar tanking lately, and people say it's the worst class to tank on and everything. And I wanted to experience it for myself, and I actually found it to be quite fun. Like on this one, I've done veteran dungeons, normal trials, and even veteran Craglorn trials, and there's nothing wrong with it. It works fine. Um, there's also other videos of Nephas, if you know him, where he tanks Veteran Asylum Sanctorium hard mode, even on a Templar tank. So there certainly are spaces for Templar tanks. They might not be the strongest class to tank, that's true, but they are fun. And if you have a Templar tank and you want to be a Templar tank, don't let people put you off. I'm pretty sure you can get there, and you can do what other people do just as fine. Alright, so this build, I mostly made this for normal trials and dungeons, to be honest. Veteran dungeons too, though, and it's a bit of a mix between a tank and a healer. The healing is not as strong as from a real healer, obviously, because our spell damage is a lot lower than a real healer's spell damage would be. But we do have a whole lot of bonuses towards healing done, and we can pop out some very nice heals, and if they crit, easily keep a group alive. So if you're running with 3 DPS, for example, this might be a good one to go with. Either way, let's get started. So, character. We've got almost 18k max magicka, 44k max health, which is very big, and then 21k stamina, which is also very big, and our magicka recovery is over 1600, which is also really good for tank. And then our spell and physical resistances go up and get a lot better as soon as we're standing inside of our rune. So that's important. I'll get into that skill later. So now you see spell and physical resistance is 30k each, which is more than enough for almost everything you do in the game. And then even if you leave the rune, they still stay up at like 28k. But while you're tanking bosses, at least bosses that don't move a lot, you're going to be standing inside of the rune. Mostly anyway, so you always have your resistances up. There's 46 points into health, and we are a Imperial on this one. Right, so the Imperial passives gives us 2k max health, 2k max stamina, and then reduces the cost of all abilities by 3%, plus while we deal direct damage, we heal ourselves and restore 333 magicka and stamina. This can occur every 5 seconds. So it's pretty nice for sustain. The reason I did not go with Nord on this one, because with the rune and the sets, I didn't really have a problem reaching cap on the physical and spell resistances. There are a couple gear options, I'll present them to you later, and if you go with one of them, the one I prefer actually, you'll easily hit 33k, and you don't even need a lot of reinforced stuff. So yeah, let's get right into the skills. On the front bar, we've got our shield, Radiant Ward. This comes from the Adric Spear skill line. It's unfortunately the last thing you unlock. And you get a damage shield that absorbs up to 13k damage for 6 seconds. It scales off max health, which is why I wanted my health to be over 40k. And nearby enemies take magic damage when the shield is activated, and each enemy hit increases the shield's strength as well. So this is a really good shield that the Templars has to offer here. Since it's the last thing you unlock, there's other shields you can use until you get there to unlock this one, Radiant Ward, and I'll get into that later though when we talk about optional skills or skills you can use to replace other skills. Next up is Honor the Dead. This is our main heal. You're healing yourself or an ally in front of you for over 6k health, and healing anyone who is below 75% health restores 60% of the ability's costs over 6 seconds as magicka. So this is one burst heal you can use. I like it because it also heals someone else eventually. It heals you or someone else. If you want your heal just for yourself, you can use Vigor. Again, I'll get into that later on when we talk about the optional skills. However, this is a really nice heal, and it comes from the Restoring Light skill, and it's the first thing you unlock right away. Next up is Repentance. This is really, really good for our resource management, because every time there's corpses on the ground, we can use these corpses to heal ourselves and our allies for 4k health, and then restore 3000 stamina for each corpse nearby. So if there's like 5 corpses on the ground, your stamina is pretty much completely filled up. Plus, the reason why I've got this on the front bar is while slotted, you gain minor fortitude, endurance, and intellect, increasing your health, stamina, and magicka recovery by 10%. So that's why I wanted to run this on the front bar, for the magicka recovery when I'm in the face of a boss and blocking and everything. Then we've got the 2 tank bread and butter skills. This is Heroic Slash and Pierce Armor, both from the one hand and shield skill line. Heroic Slash is dealing physical damage and putting minor maim on enemies, reducing their damage done for 12 seconds. Plus you gain minor heroism, granting you 1 ultimate every 1.5 seconds for the duration. And then Pierce Armor is obviously your taunt, thrust your weapon, dealing physical damage and then taunting the enemies to attack only you for 15 seconds. Plus it also applies Major Fracture and Major Breach, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 5k, which is also very important. So you always want to keep these 2 up. You always want to, every 12 seconds, do Heroic Slash, and every, 15 seconds is a bit close because you don't want to lose taunt, so every 13 seconds or 14, taunt them again and reduce their physical and spell resistances. The reason why I went with Pierce Armor and not Ransack on this one is because the build is made sort of to heal allies. So it kind of offers itself to run with a 3 DPS and 1 tank composition, at least for the content that isn't like over the top hard. Like I wouldn't probably run this in Veteran Black Rose or anything, but for most of the Veteran dungeons this will be perfectly fine, and you're gonna heal and you're gonna put Major Breach and Fracture on them. And then the ultimate is Reviving Barrier. You give people a shield of 18k, or like a ward sort of, everybody nearby, that absorbs up to 18k damage for 30 seconds, and also heals people for 11k over 15 seconds. So the numbers on this build for Barrier and all the other skills are obviously not as high as they would be for an actual healer. Remember that you're offering quite a bit of healing because you got a lot of skills that heal, but it's obviously not as strong as a real healer's healing would be. However, for the content I mentioned, you'll be perfectly fine with this. On the back bar we're running an Ice Stuff. Then we got Blockade of Frost. This we mainly use this to proc the Crusher enchantment to reduce the target's physical and spell resistance even more. Plus, chilled enemies can become frozen and immobilized for 4 seconds. That's very important. That's why I wanted to go with Nice Stuff, not Lightning Stuff, because what Templars are lacking in general is CC abilities and crowd. Well, CC means crowd control abilities, sort of. So you got a bunch of ads running in, and the only way to really group them up as a Templar is to taunt them all and then maybe run around the corner and blindside them so that they all stack up here. And the Ice Stuff really helps with that, because the ice you put on the ground can immobilize and chill them, or just like slow them down for now. It makes it a bit easier to work with your crowd control. Next up is Extended Ritual. You put this on the ground and it'll heal you and nearby allies for 1500 health every 2 seconds for 24 seconds. Plus, people can activate the Purify synergy, cleansing all harmful effects from them, and heal them for almost 4k health. So another heal we got here. You see where this is going. Honor the Dead is supposed to be our burst heal, but can also heal other allies if they're in a problematic situation. Heals them for 6k. Repentance gives them 4k health back whenever we do it, and we do that a lot to just suck the health from the corpses and get stamina back. Then we got Extended Ritual, which heals them for another 1500 over 2 seconds. So it all adds up, you know. It's quite a bit of healing that people get. Most magicka or stamina DPS have somewhere between 15 and 18k health. And if they get 6 from here, 4 from here, 1500 from here every 2 seconds, it's it definitely supports them quite a bit. Alright then, next up is Restoring Focus. Create a Rune of Celestial Protection. This is where we get our physical and spell resistance from, 5k, and it lasts for all 20 seconds. plus you also recover 240 stamina every 1 second. This is very important because when you're blocking, you can usually not restore stamina. However, if you're in this rune and you're blocking, you can. So while you're blocking, you're getting stamina back. That's one of the best skills for tanking that the Templar has to offer. So definitely make sure that you always have that rune on the ground. Next up is Luminous Shards. This is a bit of a flex slot here. You can also slot Power of the Light or anything that you need in the situation. It's dealing magic damage over 10 seconds, plus it gives allies synergy to activate, restoring 4k magic or stamina, whichever is higher for them, plus also restore an extra 2k stamina about whichever is lower. So they get a bunch of resources back from the spear. You can aim it too, throw it to whoever needs it. And then if they have the Undaunted passives unlocked, they will heal from taking the synergy also. And last but not least is the Far Taunt Inner Rage. This comes from the Undaunted skill line, starts out as Inner Fire and then morph it to Inner Rage. And this is pretty much our range taunt. So whereas Pierce Armor is a close-up taunt, you can see he's got the red flames over his head. That means he's taunted, he's only attacking you. Pierce Inner Rage is the Far Taunt. You can do the same thing, just taunting them from far away. That's also very nice for crowd control because we're lacking that a little bit. So you can just range taunt things, then run somewhere where they can see you, so they all stack up here, and then put the blockade down so they all get slowed down. It helps a bit. Unfortunately, Templars don't really have the claws that the Dragon Knight has, or the ice field that the Warden tank would have. So you're just gonna have to work with what you have here. But then again, we've got other things to offer. We've got lots of heals and buffs. And obviously aggressive Warharm from the PvP skill line Assault. This gives everyone 10% more max magicka stamina for 30 seconds, but more importantly, Major Force, increasing your allies' critical damage by 15% for 10 seconds. So this is pretty much what all tanks run these days, or forever, have been forever. Healers too, just for the extra critical damage, so you can boost the group's damage and resources a lot when you're using this. Okay, optional skills. If you don't have Barrier yet because you just made a tank, go with Solar Disturbance from the Dan's Wrath skill line. This calls down sort of a solar ball, dealing magic damage, and also puts Major Maim, reducing the damage done by 30% on all the enemies that are inside of it. And even if they leave the field, they still have the Major Maim on them for 6 more seconds. Plus, it's another synergy that allies can use to deal magic damage to all the enemies in the area, and stun them for 2.5 seconds. It's a very nice ultimate as well if you don't need Barrier. Just put this one on. Yeah, very good one. Then Power of the Light, as I said, if you don't want to run the Spear, for example, you can use that. What this does is it puts Minor Fracture, Minor Breach on the enemy, reducing their physical and spell resistance for 1320 for 9 seconds. And that will stack with the Major Fracture, Major Breach from your taunt. So you can reduce the enemy's resistances even further with that. Another nice skill to have as a Templar tank is Living Dark, where you put yourself in a lightless sphere for 6 seconds to protect yourself, and an enemy that uses a direct damage attack against you, the sphere lashes back, reducing their movement speed and healing you for 1200 health. And this can occur every half a second, so you can get quite a lot of health and back from having Living Dark active. Okay, all of these are on our bar. Remembrance is a nice ultimate. It heals all your nearby allies for almost 6k health every 1 second for 4 seconds. Plus you get Major Protection, reducing the damage taken by 30% for 10 seconds. However, while you're using this, you cannot move while you're channeling this. It is a nice heal though, and if you're running a Templar tank or even healer, it's a nice ultimate to have ready at hand in case it might be necessary. Obviously there's Shield Discipline, another ultimate. This comes from the one-handed shield skill line, and when you do this for 8 seconds, you automatically block all attacks. So you can put it on, you will block the boss's hits on you, and you can do some heavy attacks to get stamina back, or cast some other abilities, reapply your taunt or heroic slash, and all of them will cost nothing for the 8 seconds that this ultimate lasts. Then we've got Defensive Stance. This is a very nice damage shield, which also reflects harmful direct damage projectiles. And while you have it equipped, you can also block 10% more, and the cost of blocking is reduced by 10%. So, for example, if you haven't unlocked Radiant Mort yet, you can use Defensive Stance for now. And either way, it's always good to have it unlocked, because there are a couple dungeons and situations where it's very useful. Then the Shielded Assault. This is also quite funny. If you have this on, you can... It's more of a gap closer. You can rush toward an enemy really fast and bash them with the shield. And for stuff like Cloud Rest, getting quicker to Samaja or Halls of Fabrication, the final boss, if you get knocked back and you need to get close to him very quickly, it's also very fun. In the Destruction Stuff skill line, obviously Crushing Shock for range interrupts. This is just when an enemy is casting ability, you can interrupt them with this from range. Or even Elemental Drain, in case it's necessary, for the minor magic steal that it applies. Alright, I'm running 5 pieces heavy, 1 light and 1 medium. So in the passives here, you'll want the first 3. These only count if you wear 5 pieces of light, which we are not doing. But these are nice, so get those. In medium armor, all you really need is the Windwalker and the Athletics one for a bit more movement speed and reduced roll dodge cost and stamina recovery. And then obviously all of the heavy armor ones. Immovable is a nice skill as well. It gives you major resolve as well, just like your Rune would, but it also grants you immunity to knockback and disabling effects for quite a while. And each piece of heavy armor worm increases the amount of damage you can block while this is on. So this is something, if there's really big damage incoming and you're standing in one place and you don't have to move, can be very useful. Fighters Guild, obviously Silver Leash. This is our chains, sort of. Where the Dragon Knight is the chains, you can use Silver Leash to pull enemies in. If you're in a dungeon where there's enemies that are very scattered over the place and you need to group them up quickly, this is also a very nice skill to use. And then all of the Undaunted ones are good. I always say that pretty much for every tank, any class, any race, and every healer, any class, any race, all of these are good to get. Sanguine Altar puts a altar on the ground that puts lifesteal in, gives people a synergy. Lifesteal means if people in the area are doing damage, they are healing themselves. Shadow Silk is also very nice. There's not too many trials or dungeons where this is useful, but oftentimes it is, especially if there's like a lot of stamina DPS around. The Taunt, of course. Bone Surge is another really nice shield that gives us synergy as well, that heals people. And then Energy Orb is the healing orb. It doesn't matter if you take energy, well, it does matter, but you can choose if you want to take the Energy Orb morph that heals people. Since this build is more about healing people, that's the one I chose. Or the Mystic Orb that does damage when they do the synergy from it. That's up to you. But since this build is focused on healing the group and staying alive and taunting enemies, that's pretty much it. And then, as I said before, if you don't want to use Honor the Dead, Vigor is actually stronger. That heals for 10k health over 10 seconds, but it can only heal you, not an ally. So you can run Resolving Vigor instead of Honor the Dead if you want that, because the Honor the Dead heal with 6k isn't too big. I mean, you can cast it 2 or 3 times and then you get 12 or 18k back, but it'll drain your magicka a little bit. And then in the support skill line, we've got Efficient Purge. This is for cleansing, which our Extended Ritual already does. People can use the synergy to cleanse themselves, but I always have Purge ready either way, because Might be that I'm running like Halls of Fabrication and there's actually 2 healers in the group and I can leave a couple skills out, and I wouldn't run Ritual. I probably also wouldn't run the Spear, but more like Power of the Light and maybe Purge then for Hoff anyway. Alright, so much for that. Already went over the armor passives here just while we were passing through it. You obviously want all of the passives in one hand and shield and destruction stuff because that's your main weapons. And then you also kind of want all of the passives in your class skill lines. Now let's look at what the Templar has to offer. Increases critical damage, increases your damage done to blocking targets. That's more for for DPS. Gain minor protection for 6 seconds, reducing your damage taken by 8%. Minor protection is something very nice, and we do run an Adric Spear ability, mainly the shards or the Radiant Ward. So whenever you activate your shield, you also get minor protection for 6 seconds, reducing your damage taken. It's also a good reason why we don't have to run Ransack here, so we get the minor protection from elsewhere. Burning Light, you deal an additional 2k physical damage or magic damage, so that's more of a DPS thing, but it's nice to have anyway because the spear does a bit more damage then. And then Balanced Warrior increases your weapon damage. That's not too important, but it increases our spell resistance, and that we want because we need resistances. We're a tank. Dawn's Wrath increases the duration of Sunfire, Eclipse, Solar Flare, and Nova by 2 seconds. So that's always good, especially if you're running Solar Disturbance as an ultimate. It lasts 2 seconds longer. Casting a Dawn's Wrath ability generates 3 ultimate. That's also very nice for us. And another reason actually to run Power of the Light, for example, or Living Dark, to get a little bit more ultimate. The reason I have the Spear on the build here is because it's nice to give people synergies, especially when you're running with 1 tank and 3 DPS, and there is no healer that would throw shards, so you can be the guy doing that. But Power of the Light, as I said, or Living Dark are also very good skills. And then casting a Dawn's Wrath ability grants you minor sorcery, increasing your spell damage. That's also more of a healing or DPS thing. And then restoring health, magic, and stamina, and ultimate cost of your abilities by 5%. Reduces the costs by 5%. So that is very important. We definitely want that. In the Restoring Light skill line, increases the healing effects from Restoring Light abilities by 12%. You definitely want that. While standing in Rune Focus, which we do, or Cleansing Ritual, which we also do, we get minor mending, increasing our healing done by 8%, which is very nice, and it also increases the amount of damage we can block. So that's really good for tanks. Definitely get that. Light Weaver increases the duration of Restoring Aura. Healing Ritual grants ultimate. Channeling Rite of Passage grants spell resistance. Get that as well. And then Master Ritualist increases resurrection speed by 20%. That's always nice because sometimes you do have to res as a tank. And resurrected allies return with 100% more health, and that's also very nice. Okay, so much for the passives. I just made this a quick one because you probably know. You definitely want the Undaunted passives as well, because we're running 5-1-1 armor-wise. And then Magicka 8 in case you have to swap, in case you run Purge or you have unlocked Reviving Barrier, just because it increases your Magicka recovery for the ability slotted. Okay, set-wise, as I said, this is more of a dungeon build. The skills here that I'm running, they're all very important and good even for endgame Templaring. So if you're a Templar tank and you wanna be a Templar tank, even in like endgame veteran trials and progressions, these skills will still be the ones you'll be using mostly, with the others that I've shown you as optional skills. For sets, you'll probably be running whatever is needed though, mostly Yolnacrin or Alkosh or Torux Pact or Eben. However, this build is more for like 3 DPS and tank in dungeons, as I said, so the gear I'm running on this is Battalion Defender on the weapons and jewelry. It's a very, very easy to get set, so this is very beginner friendly. It gives you max health, max stamina, healing done, and after successfully blocking, you heal yourself or a group member within 15 meters of you for 2,500 health, and this can occur every second. So every second you block, you can heal one of your teammates for 2,500 health. It's very nice. And you want the one-hand weapon in either decisive for more ultimate or defending, increasing your physical and spell resistance, which I like better here, with a hardening enchant for getting a bit of a damage shield for 5 seconds when your glyph procs. The shield I've got reinforced with a health glyph on, and then the ice stuff on the back bar, obviously infused with a crusher enchantment on, reducing the physical and spell resistance. It's very important. Now, for a monster set, we're running 1 piece light and 1 piece medium, and that will be Symphony of Blades. With health glyphs on both, you'll have to change that. And then I've got the light head and the medium shoulders. So you want the bigger piece, the medium one, in reinforced, just because the armor value is higher there, both with health glyphs. And then the small piece in sturdy. So if you're running light head like me, go head sturdy, shoulders medium reinforced. Or the other way around, run a reinforced medium head or a light sturdy shoulder to it. This gives us another 4% healing done, plus when we heal an ally who's under 50% of their primary resource, which might very well happen, because we've got healing fields on the ground, so we usually heal someone all the time. And if they drop below 50% of their primary resource, they restore 2,200 magic or stamina every 1 second for 6 seconds. So that's very nice for the resource management of the DPS you're running with. And yeah, exactly, plus the healing done, that's pretty much why we're using it. And now the last set on the body. This is the only set that is hard to get on this build, by the way. You'll have to do Veteran Depths of Malata. Battalion Defender you can pretty much just buy from guild stores. Even in the perfect traits, this stuff is not expensive at all. Very easy to get. And then the next one is a crafted set, and that is the Curse of the Twiceborn Star. That might seem a little bit strange to you guys now, but it's full heavy because we're running light, medium on head and shoulders. And then Twiceborn Star gives us max health, max stamina, max magicka, 1,000 of each, which is quite nice for a tank. It's just a whole lot of resources. And then you can have 2 Mundustone boons active at the same time. So I'm running the big pieces in infused with tri-stack glyphs, meaning the legs and the hands. And all the small pieces I want in sturdy for the reduced block cost. So, which are the 2 Mundustones that we're running? It's obviously, since this is sort of a healing tank build, the Ritual and the Atronach. Atronach for increased magicka recovery, so we can cast our skills more often and get magicka back a lot quicker. And the Ritual for increased healing done by 10%. So all in all, this works really, really fine in dungeons, and all of this stuff is very easy to get, except for the monster helmet. So let's get into optional gear, because if you don't have Symphony of Blades, go with Sentinel of Rekugams. It also gives you 4% healing done, plus when you heal yourself or an ally, you have a 10% chance to summon a Dwemer Spider that heals people and restores magicka and stamina. So it's also a way of resource management, supporting your DPS's resource management, just not on the same scale as this. This gives them, this can only happen every 18 seconds, but it gives them over 2,000 every 1 second, whereas this gives them like 111 every 1 second for 8 seconds. But however, if this is too hard for you to get, just go with this for now. It's nice, it's good enough. Right on. The Twiceborn Star you should have, because of the double Mundus. That's kind of the point of the thing. However, as I said before, this is just the build I like to run. The skills will be fine for all kinds of things. If you want to do a more serious tank that doesn't do more healing, you obviously don't want to run this. If you just want to focus on tanking because you always have a healer with you, just put any tank set on here. Eben's good, Yolnacrin's is good, even Plague Doctor is nice for beginners, which you can also buy from guild stores or farm in Deshaan. And then put an actual tank helmet on here, something like Stonekeepers, Engine Guardians, Lord Warden, whatever you want to play. Now, for Battalion Defender, actually, there is a set I like better. And that's a set I actually run myself. I just wanted to put Battalion Defender as a main set on this build because it's very easy to get and you don't have to do a lot of transmuting, you don't have to do a lot of retrading. So you can just buy the stuff and try the build out and see if you have fun with it. However, my preferred set for weapons and jewelry would actually be this here. It's called Almalexia's Mercy. And it gives you max health, 2 armor bonuses, which is why I said before it's very easy to cap out on the resistances then. Plus, when you take damage, you have a 20% chance to heal you and your allies in 7 meters of you for 3k health. This can occur every 3 seconds. So the difference here is you get more resistances with this, obviously. Plus, when you take damage, not when you're blocking. And you're taking damage all the time as a tank, even when you're not blocking. You're taking like a light attack from an enemy, this can still proc. So this procs a whole lot because you take damage all the time as a tank. And then the other good thing about it is you heal all your allies within 7 meters of you. So if your allies are close to you within 7 meters, all of them will get the over 3k health back every 3 seconds. Whereas this can occur every 1 second. It has a wider range of 50 meters, but the heal is smaller and you only heal yourself or a group member, but just one group member. So choice is yours really. Battalion Defender is definitely a lot easier to get. However, I do have a full set of Almalexia's Mercy for my tanks because I really enjoy this set. I think it's a great set and it's a lot of fun to play too. The bad thing about this set though is it's actually a light armor set. So you have to retrade the jewelry. You'll have to get it from Arcane to Healthy because it does come in Arcane. And then if you choose to run Almalexia's, you can also put a little less CP into your resistance buffs because you already have the 2 armor bonuses, and you can also play the shield in Sturdy instead of in Reinforced, for example. Jewelry is Magicka, Recovery, and Healthy, all of it. Alright, so the CP for this is 71 Ironclad, 3 into Spell Shield. That's just because I wanted to get the 75 here for the Resilient thing. 48 Thick Skin, 49 in Hardy and Elemental Defender, 19 in Quick Recovery, and then 30 in Heavy Armor Focus. Now that's quite a lot, 30 points into there, but if you run Battalion Defender with Twiceborn Star, you're gonna need that extra buff of physical resistances to even them out a little bit, because in our passives we already have extra spell resistance and our spell resistance will be a lot higher, so we need the 30 points in there to get to 30k each on physical and spell resistance. 40 Warlord, 11 Sprinter, 16 Bashing Focus, 64 and 64 in Tenacity and Arcanist, and then 66 into Shadow Warden, 9 into Tumbling, 75 in Blessed, 72 in Elfborn because we're trying to heal a lot. Well, we are healing a lot. And then over here we just even them out. Most importantly, 81 into Precise Strikes, because if you choose Vigor as a heal over Honor the Dead, it's a stamina ability, and then if it crits, it will heal for 24% more, and that will be a huge heal. 40 Thaumaturge, 2 into Piercing, so we get the 120 points in here just to get the Last Stand passive to get ultimate back if our health falls below 20%. Alright, so much for that. If you are a Templar tank or a new Templar tank, this might actually be a very nice build for you because you do a lot of healing for your whole group. You can learn tanking on it very well because there's always a lot of healing going on. You've got a great shield, you've got a great burst heal. You can restore stamina from corpses with Repentance. You've got the ground heals, you've got your rune that helps with all your resistances, and the spear. So try it out, it's a lot of fun, especially in 4-man content. Very nice to do. I know that the heals on the tooltips look kind of small, but it actually works very well in content, plus most of them can crit also. and they do a lot, to be honest. And then, as I said before, if you want to get into more serious stuff, Symphony of Blades is actually still a very good helmet to wear on a tank if you don't need resistances or resource management for yourself. So getting that set is worth it either way. And then if you want to do something more serious, just swap out Twiceborn Star with whatever, as I said before, Ebon Yolnahkrin, all the known tanking sets that are good. And obviously the Mundus, you loses the ritual, then you'll keep the Atronach because you want to keep your Magicka recovery high. Yeah, alright, so I found this build to be a lot more fun than I thought it would be. And I'm gonna go do some dungeons right now, enjoy it a little bit. Have fun with it, and see you next time.